free.
Getting free.
Now, I am disturbed about this thing that we have where we're too deep off into, we gotta identify with something. 30 years ago, remember those Oakland Raiders starter jackets?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had to have one. A lot of people in here are too young to remember that. But they wanted an Oakland Raiders starter jacket. So I remember one fool that was trying to get probation. He's sitting up in front of me, and I asked him, I said, "Where's Oakland?" "I don't know." And see, he'd been holding somebody up so he could get Oakland Raiders starter jackets. And he had one, he stole two. I said, "Well, where's Oakland?" "I don't know." "Well, what kind of game do they play?" "I don't know." So, "Well, don't you see the football helmet, fool?" "Huh?" "Say they play football. Now, who's the quarterback?" "I don't know." "Well, then why do you want one of these Oakland Raiders starter jackets?" "Well, it's cool, Judge. Everybody got one. Want to feel like I'm identified with and belong." Now, see, that's the kind of mentality we have, and we need to get away from that.
Absolutely.
But you see, right now, we have this problem with self-esteem. So we look at somebody going through some motions, and it looks like they're trying to accomplish something. Maybe. But is it doing anything for you? Anybody in here ever gone duck hunting? Got a granddaddy, an uncle or something out in the country that went out and hunted the duck. You know, they taste kind of good when you fix them up real right. I like duck l'orange. You know, that's one of the rich folks' deals. You know, put orange juice on the duck, put garnish and bacon. Well, you got to get a duck first. So how do you get a duck? You put a decoy out there to lure the duck in so you can get the duck. And what is a decoy? A decoy is a fake duck. And we have a lot of that now where we try to get the Negroes to support things because the population dynamics are changing and the black vote can swing elections one way or the other. So they got decoy Negroes out there. They got fake Negroes, and they put them out and set them out so the rest of the Negroes become Negroes instead of being black folk. And they say, "Oh, skin is kin." And I heard it several times tonight. People are talking about unity. Well, let me tell you something about that. I know at least 17 people are dead now in the soil because we believed in unity back in the 60s. But some of these folk that we were unifying with were snitches, pimps, simps, informants, and agents, and sworn officers of those alphabet agencies that were not friends of ours. And we've got black caucus people who want to take some of that particular three-letter alphabet agency and claim they're our friends. They're not. Anybody know how the FBI got started?
Yeah, I know.
Anybody?
Yeah, I know.
Not one of you do you?
I do.
Somebody over there.
I do.
I saw a hand go up.
Right over
The
here.
FBI got started before World War I because there was the first black world heavyweight champion. His name was Jack Johnson. Couldn't anybody beat this brother. And back then, they didn't have 12-round or 15-round championship fights. You fought till somebody dropped, and they had 37-round bouts. He won one which was 56 rounds, but he had a white wife. And certain folk didn't like the idea that this big buck Negro was running around this big buck black man with a white wife and all of her friend girls. So they decided they were gonna get it. And they created the Federal Bureau of Investigation to set up what became the Mann Act. Anybody heard of the Mann Act? It's what they busted R. Kelly on and what they've got P. Diddy on right now, though they don't say it. In other words, the objective was to get rid of black men who were out there doing something with a grandstand perspective that offended some other folk. So they created the FBI. They came up with the Mann Act, and before World War I, they got Jack Johnson. He came through Georgia. Georgia did not acknowledge interracial marriage, so he's with his wife. They're going to go visit France, and they drove through this state for 15 minutes on the way to a seaport. When they stopped, the FBI, accompanied by U.S. Marshals, rushed the train and they arrested Jack Johnson. They tried him, convicted him, he escaped and went to France. Well, his mama selfishly wanted to see him, so he tried to sneak back in and they caught him. He served his time for that. 1 year, by the way, but he got 5 years because of the escape. So when he got out, he got killed in a car wreck, supposedly in 1946. So what does the Black Caucus want to do right now? They talk about the FBI is going to help you out. I don't buy that. Not at all. Because I was the last judge on that James Earl Ray case, and I can tell you that J. Edgar Hoover, who, by the way, it turns out to be a black man again, another one of these things where we sell ourselves out. He was passing, got run out of Louisiana with his family by the Klan for trying to pass. He set it up. He ordered the ending of surveillance for 48 hours before King got assassinated. The FBI supplied the weapons, the ammunition. They recruited a 2-man hit team from Quantico, Virginia, where the Marines have a sniper school, right across the tarmac from an FBI training academy. They sent them to Memphis, and with the collaboration of some Negroes in Memphis, they killed King. Where do we go from there? Well, isn't the Black Caucus supposed to be helping us out? Do they? You got a Black Caucus member right here locally, and what's in front of the church that he's supposed to be pastor of? Who out there is laying around with nowhere to go, homeless, under lean-tos, cardboard shelters, but that same person is trying to deal with being friendly to illegals who have feloniously crashed the border. We don't have any problem with that. Anybody in here against reparations? Anybody in here against reparations? You would think the Black Caucus would be about reparations, wouldn't you?
You would think.
Do you know who the chairman of the Black Caucus's reparations committee is? A gay white Jew guy from Memphis, Tennessee named Steve Cohen. He's chairman of the Black Caucus's reparations committee. What the hell is wrong with that picture?
Everything.
Think about it. You don't get mad at that?
Everything.
You talking about reparations. How the hell you think you're gonna get it when the enemy is in charge of it? Why don't you ask these people some questions? This was supposed to be the center of everything. First time I came here was a little over 70 years ago. I wasn't but 5 or 6 years old. My parents were coming through here. Not too far from this place, some clowns tried to take my old man out. He was driving a DeSoto. I'm sitting in the back seat of the car. My mother's fooling around in the glove compartment. She used to like these little bitty Coca-Colas in the 6-ounce bottles that were really carbonated. She said, "Son, hold this for me." I had it propped up on my knee. Bullet came through the rear passenger door, shattered the bottle. I'm worried about my mother going off on me for breaking her coat. She was cool. She said, "Lay on the floor, son, it'll be all right." But the old man had been in the war. I said, "Oh, they're shooting at us." See, excitement. They fired 2 more bullets into the car. But that ain't nothing nice, and I haven't forgotten that. And every time I hear one of our people talking some of the stuff that we talk, and they don't understand that, I get angry. It's been a long time ago, but I get angry. I saw what happened when they built this airport out here. It was a nice opportunity for black business. But selfish Negroes didn't spread it around. And you know how some areas in Atlanta ain't too cool when it comes to economics?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, like this one.
So why didn't these people spread it around instead of putting it all in their back pockets? They're scared to go out some places in this town. Oh, you know, you have to be very careful. It's dangerous out there. Yeah, that's your community. You're supposed to represent it, but you're scared to walk it. What's the matter with you? And then when you get in charge, you get to talking about they're picking on me because I am. All you're answering to is the voters, the black voters. So who are you getting picked on by when you rip off the black voters? You got some criminality going on in this town amongst your leadership. Why don't you do something about it? Oh, no. We can't do that because that would require some work. But we got to know everything about our favorite NBA team, NFL team, Atlanta Housewives. We got to know all those details. But we don't know anything about running a business. We buck dance, sing, and put on a show every time we get a chance, but we don't know anything about operating the finances that can do something with the money that we make for an industry. Why not? Anybody got a problem with telling the kids, all right, fine, you got a nice little layup, but you're only 5'9". You're only 6 feet. You're not gonna make it in the NBA. Spend your time trying to learn how to make the money and doing something with it. This is the 21st century. And we have this thing stuck on stupid. Man, I'm gonna give me some fruits and vegetables, man, when they give me some land, and I'm gonna support myself. And how you gonna keep it? You got an army or something? You got a posse on your side? This is the 21st century. It's science, technology, engineering, and math. Learn how the hell to work that.
There you go.
So you can create some new kind of field where it isn't 25 deep already with deep pockets handling everything. Start thinking in the future. We have to do these things. Meanwhile, what are we gonna do about being those foes that respond to the decoy ducks? I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings, but we got a witch running for president.
Okay.
That woman is the worst kind of sleaze you can ever think of.
Okay.
I was in California.
Talk to him.
I was in California when it was going down.
Talk to him, Judge.
And I used to represent 40 years ago a whole chunk of pimps and hoes in Memphis. And I know a hoe when I see one.
Talk to him, Judge.
When I see a hoe, I know she got a pimp.
Talk to him,
And I
Judge.
want to find out who the pimps are that we getting tricked out on the benefit of.
Oh, that man.
Who are the pimps that this woman is working for?
Oh, who are they?
And I see some decent ladies out there. I've met a few of you.
Right.
And I resent the fact that you got a hoe that's being your face.
Woo.
You see, tomorrow is yesterday today. So today was yesterday, and it'll be tomorrow. That's why we have to understand today.
Damn.
What the hell did you just say?
What the hell did you just say?
And you gonna fake off about being a Negro? I met a daddy. Sat next to the man for 2.5 hours at the Governor General's table down in Jamaica. My ex-wife asked him what he was. He said he was Irish and he was Hindu. She said, you don't have anybody black in your family? He said, no. So her mama is Caucasian, her dad is Caucasian. How the hell did she become black? Oh, she was listening to Tupac and smoking a joint when she was in the dorms. Tupac wasn't but 10, 11 years old. He didn't cut his first release until he was 21. First hit, he was 23. And she was prosecuting simple possession of dope in San Francisco, or excuse me, Alameda County, California, as an assistant prosecutor. So she going back to the dorms when she's a prosecutor. Willie wouldn't have liked that because he didn't want to be disturbed when he was knocking it out. And then what's she talking about? I clean greens in the bathtub in the dorm. Now you know your mama would whip the hell out of you if you put some greens in a bathtub where all of these folk up in the dorms are trying to wash their dirty asses.
Nasty.
And you don't say cleaning greens, you say picking greens. Anybody old enough to remember that one? Picking greens. She's talking about, I clean greens. What the hell are you doing with a whole bathtub of greens? You trying to cook for the dorms? Your mama ain't black. She a Hindu from India. What she know about cooking greens? Lying. She is the decoy, the fake duck to bring in the real ducks, the fake Negro to bring in the real black folk.
There you go.
So we can be used and abused, and everybody gets benefit of what we allow because we put these people in place and don't get a damn thing out of it. Black folks shouldn't expect anything special when I get in. The hell's the matter with you? Why you think we would be voting for you? For the appearance? Oh, what'd they say about Obama? That is the black man's reward. He finally got somebody black in the White House. The hell does that do? What does it do for you? You been to a grocery store lately? I went into a grocery store this week. I spent $400 and I could fit everything I got in the front seat of my sports car.
Easy.
And then down here where they have this disaster, I'm giving everyone down there $750 a family. Hell, you can't live off of that. And did you see the belt she's got on when she is out there posing in front of her van? The belt lists for $7,160 damn dollars. And the Negroes are just loving it. Because they have no self-respect, no shame, and they'll take any leftover hoe rather than trying to deal with getting something that is of advantage to them.
Right.
I've done some time. Hell, they made me do 5 days one time because I wouldn't be quiet with some racist ass trying to do a sister in a jack-leg kangaroo juvenile court down in Memphis. All right? When I grew up in Los Angeles, LAPD was always jacking you up. We wish to see your papers, please. Man, what you talking about papers, man? Hey, man, what you mean papers? Fritz, he does not have his papers. Got in Huren. Man, you mean like ID, man? Well, yeah, here. That is better. Wunderbar. You know, I mean, we used to do that all the time growing up in Los Angeles. That was a real live Gestapo. You'd expect these folk to be going Zeke high. Richard Pryor used to do a routine. LAPD pull you over, all right, on the wall. What wall? Find one. Some rank stuff. So, I mean, that kind of cold-blooded thing it should not happen. But it is because the people we put in office don't do anything about it. Maxine Waters. I remember the first time she ran for public office. She didn't win, but everybody got an invite. This is way back 50-something years ago. So it was a pool party. Everybody was just getting off from school or off work. The only people in swimsuits were the kids that lived there in Maxine Waters. She had on a little string white bikini that was falling off her ass and the tits kept popping out. Talking about, oh, the girls escaped the plane. She looked a hell of a lot better then than she does now.
Okay.
But I mean, what did we get out of that?
Not a goddamn thing, John.
Did we get anything? And look at your local DA for this county, Fulton, Fannie Willis. Fannie and Wade were laundering money.
Woo.
That thing about all the cash transactions, and she's running around at all the pulpits talking about, they're picking on me because I'm a sister girl. Oh, hell no. See, what you're doing is there's nobody over you, and anything you authorize gets paid out. They could have made between $6 and $8.5 million out of that and split it. It's gonna be rough when it hits the fan, and then she's the DA. So don't you think the DA with no Miranda rights? You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and may be used in evidence against you. So she walks up in there in that pink red dress upside down because there was nobody around. She couldn't fasten it, so she fastened it and put it on backwards. She walks up there with the wrong kind of drawers on showing, looking real tacky. Gets on the stand. Judge McAfee says, ma'am, you know we're discussing whether or not it's necessary for you to testify. I'm gonna take the stand. Hand on hip, doing that snake charm thing with her head, and then she implicates herself in about 4 pages of fine print worth of criminality. Then she swore to uphold the law, but isn't your state legislature trying to get her to testify right now in front of a committee? Aren't they? It's gonna be real funny because if she doesn't show up or at least offer to, when they get back in session, they can send the sergeant at arms out to physically arrest her. And wouldn't that be a shame for your Fulton County DK to be in handcuffs getting snatched forcibly in front of somebody? Or the second remedy they have is they can go in front of a circuit court, proceed that way for contempt, or the legislature can pass an act and say, okay, for Fulton County, we're cutting out the money. Meanwhile, let's talk about that. You have $7.5 million that seems to be missing. That was to catch up on a backlog of criminal prosecutions. $2 million to deal with sex crimes that's missing, and $500,000 to deal with juvenile justice. That's $10 million. They wanted to know where the money went. But you got an election, it's on you. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Or are we gonna get back to that thing where skin is kin? Now, I said there's 17 people I knew that are on the other side of the ground because skin wasn't kin. John Huggins and Bunchy Carter, I recruited him to UCLA. Black Panthers. John Huggins was the Minister of Information. Bunchy Carter was the chairman. They got shot to death. Elaine Brown and I, who was also somebody I recruited, she wound up being chairwoman of the Panther Party out there on the West Coast. We were getting ready to go up a staircase where the shooting went down. They ran right by us. John set up, fired 6 shots out of his .357. He was already dead, didn't know it. Hit one of them in the back, hit him in the shoulder blade, didn't even slow him down, and they got away. All right? You got Geronimo Pratt, I recruited him to UCLA too. He wound up doing penitentiary time for a homicide he did not do. Nathaniel Clark, I recruited him to UCLA. He was in the Panther Party. He wound up getting shot to death. All right? All kinds of stuff. There was Melvin X. I went to junior high school with him. Some treacherous Negroes turned on him and they killed him for LAPD's SIS unit, Special Investigative Services. If you can get a hold of it, get a hold of 2 books, Glass House Tapes 1, Glass House Tapes 2. The person that wrote it is named Louis Tackwood. I knew Tackwood well. We thought he was a medic. just got back from the Nam, and people got hurt back then, so he would go around treating folk. Well, some years later, when I was in law school, I decided to show up to get extra credit to this homicide trial. I'm sitting there taking notes, and they called their witness, Louis Tackwood. I said, oh, wait a minute, not the one I know. And then here comes the one I know walked out. I said, oh shit, damn. But he didn't tell on everybody. Not only was he just Louis Tackwood, he was introduced as Lieutenant Louis Tackwood of the Los Angeles Police Department. I said, oh, man, that's deep stuff, man. This brother that we all thought was all right was lieutenant for the counterintelligence unit of LAPD to get rid of us. All right, anybody heard of H. Rap Brown?
Oh, yeah.
That brother could fire up an audience, man. He talks to you after 15 minutes. Everybody, right on, brother. Burn, baby, burn. Ready to do something. But they got rid of him because some Negroes treacherously betrayed him. I was his bodyguard for 1 week. One of his bodyguards, he was out in L.A. and we told him, don't deal with these folks. And he said, well, they seem like good brothers and don't deal with them. So he dealt with them, so they snuck a disassembled carbine into his luggage. They took the luggage out to LA International. They checked it in. When soon as H-Rap got there, they put him in handcuffs because he was already under indictment for inciting riots. Some Negroes again ruined the good black man who's still alive, but I guess the brother is so disheartened that nobody wants to listen to him. Malcolm X, St. Malcolm, he was trying to tell us years ago, 60 years ago, what time it was. Are we listening? Do we remember what he said? Worst enemy that the black man has in America is the liberal white. The liberal white. And are we listening to this?
Not at all.
Are we listening to propaganda? We talking about Baba Yaga, Donald Trump, the boogeyman. Now, the first time I encountered Donald Trump was 30-some years ago. I went to a conference in New York, and some homeboys of mine were in New York. Said, man, let's go clubbing. I said, yeah, let's go. I ain't been to the Big Apple in a long time. Let's go party. So we show up at a club, and this tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy shows up. He doesn't have security. He's hanging around with everybody. People are going over to him. I said, who's this dude? Oh, man, he all right, man. He hangs with us all the time. I said, well, what's his name? Donald Trump. I said, I ain't never heard of him. I said, but he's cool, man. He's always helping out. Now we hate him, but I can't see that he's done anything worse than what he was doing before, which was okay. I know 3 folk that were clients of mine in Memphis. He loaned $2.5 million total to the 3 of them. When they went to pay him back, he tore the checks up, said, you paid me back by being a success. But he's the Baba Yaga. Now, how many of us have done some time, been locked up, wrong or right, or had a relative, a neighbor, a homeboy that got locked up? Everybody up in here, right?
Yeah.
Everybody. Now, who do you think is going to be most likely to do something about changing that situation? Somebody who's been run through that same game, or somebody who was running that game?
Okay.
Chief prosecutor, 2 different places. Do you think that person's going to deal with reform? Tomorrow is something we learned from yesterday, which will be the thing we do for the day after today. Do you think that is going to give you any relief, or somebody that's been getting treated like a black man to see what it looks like? What do you think? But he's the boogeyman, isn't he? Oh, he's evil. What did he do? He's just standing up being a man. See, you got this other side Therefore, destruction of the traditional nuclear family. Black folk been dependent upon the traditional nuclear family for decades, for centuries. He promotes manhood and womanhood, but somebody else is trying to effeminize the whole country. You a man, you ain't supposed to act like it. I remember back in the late 60s, they had those folk that hated they weren't men, hated they weren't strong men, hated they weren't normal men. I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings, I don't care, but anyway, men create war. We gotta change the way men are raised. They need to be emotional so they can cry and shout and let it all hang out instead of being so uptight and under control. And that's what we have. We can't go out in the neighborhoods because there are no fathers in the neighborhood that are doing dad type stuff. Everybody's got to be nice. Young boys, young men don't prosper too well when somebody is getting too damn nice. You got to be fair, but you got to make it tough. Boys are like iron, untempered steel. You got to do what the blacksmith does. You got to heat the iron up until it gets white hot. And then you have to temper it after you do that. Then you have to forge it into what you're trying to make so it's tough and resilient and sharp.
There you go.
But we don't care. We just pig iron for our boys. We just turn them loose. And they don't get any training. See, men are supposed to make where they live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, ethics, make their communities places of public peace, dignity, and order. They're supposed to be brave and courageous and have a purpose.
Yes.
But we don't do that. Everybody's supposed to just go do what you feel like doing. No morality, no guilt, no shame. You've heard that one. No guilt, no shame. A little incident to show you how bad it is. When I grew up, anybody my age, when you grew up, you had fights all the time.
All the time.
You punched it out. Didn't anybody try to kill anybody, but you punched it out. That was a man thing. Now, somebody was telling me the other day that a kindergarten situation developed. Two kindergarten boys had a fight and they called in the police to arrest them. 5 years old, what the hell is wrong with us? And every one of these punks that goes off and shoots up the hallway, what do we find out? He never learned how to deal with bullets. Remember that movie, Back to the Future?
Oh, yeah.
What happened? McFly goes back, his daddy's bullied by Biff.
Yep.
Teaches Dad how to stand up for himself. Dad busts Biff in the mouth, knocks him out. And when young McFly gets back to the present, Biff works for Dad.
Yep.
That's the way it works. But they want to wipe that out because you're supposed to be too damn soft. But anybody have a hamburger this week? Anybody have a steak, piece of bacon, sausage, anything like that, fish, chicken, one of those damn ducks that got decoyed down by a fake duck?
Oh, shit.
We eat meat. We kill stuff better than anything on this planet. I bet if they really had a Jurassic Park, we'd be taking them out too. I say, you know, it was really thrilling. Thompson and I were deep in the bush when this T-Rex popped out at close range, and I gave him both barrels of my double rifle, and at the last moment he collapsed, and that's why he's on my den wall. Isn't he magnificent? We kill stuff, and you want to act like we don't? And when you don't train us how to deal with that, we go kill something. Why'd you kill him? I felt like it. The hell? And by the way, there's a little punchline on that. There is suicide by poison. You can cut your wrist. You can shoot yourself in the head. There's suicide by cop. There's also suicide by neighbor. Anybody heard of that one? You try to provoke your neighbor into doing you the favor of taking your life because you can't stand yourself. Oh, drugs have claimed another victim in downtown Atlanta. Neighbors complained about a foul odor, and yeah, this dude knew it was gonna kill him. It ain't about getting high, it's about trying to die. Because somebody doesn't like their existence. So when you don't like your existence, quit trying to die. Look at it as adversity. Look at it as an opportunity to prove yourself. Look at it as an opportunity to kick some damn ass. So instead of saying, oh man, they messing with me, man, ain't no point, man. I'm gonna be dead before I get to be 24, man. Instead of going that way, you can say, hell, man, I got a challenge. I'm gonna kick some ass. I'm gonna take something out. And you can look in the mirror and say, did you do what you're supposed to do yesterday? Are you gonna do what you're supposed to do today? Are you gonna make it better for tomorrow so you can do something more in lines with what you're doing tomorrow? See, life isn't long. So what's gonna happen when it's your time to check out? Are people gonna remember you? Oh yeah, man. Dude was all right, man. He was righteous brother, man. He took care of business. So you can become a hero, or ladies, a shero, I guess. So when you saying there's no daylight at the end of my tunnel, you can say, hey, it's my job to go out there and kill off those fire-breathing Gila monsters that are setting flames to the tunnel, creating all that smoke so nobody can see the daylight. And even if I don't get there, the people I'm responsible for will get there. When you've got a purpose, everything doesn't look hopeless. It just looks challenging. That makes you want to work harder at what you're doing. And believe me, nothing comes free. Nobody's going to give you a damn thing. You have to earn it. You have to be able to keep it. Yeah, man, you know, like I've been pumping iron, man, 5 days a week, man, at the gym, man. We go to LA Fitness, man. You know, I be pumping some serious iron. Sweating and all funky. Why? Because you want to get all buffed out. Just like you gotta work at building muscle and getting fit, you gotta work at anything else. It doesn't come free, and nobody's gonna give you a damn thing unless you're able to take it. What kind of consequence can you vest if somebody doesn't give you something? All right? Now, I'm talking, but if the election goes wrong, next year they might throw me in jail for talking like this. You heard Waltz, you heard Harris, and by the way, why don't they call her by her maiden name, Imhoff? You know, Nancy Pelosi, that's a married name. Hillary Clinton, that's a married name. Sarah Palin, that's a married name. Feinstein, that's a married name. Why they call her Harris instead of Imhoff? Oh, we're not supposed to know that other connection over there? We're not supposed to know that she not only married this dude, she adopted his 2 grown children. She doesn't have any of her own. She didn't even adopt anybody black. She adopted 2 Jewish kids who were teenagers at the time. She belonged to Hillcrest Country Club, which is in Los Angeles. It's a real upscale Jewish country club that's been giving black folk hell for decades. I know, I grew up there. Sheer hell. She's a member of that. All right? But what did she say? All of them, this whole bunch said, we gotta have unlimited free speech because misinformation, disinformation, malinformation is harmful to the democracy, so we have to control it and make it criminal, and we need a bureau of misinformation to fight this. You mean to tell me that in the United States of America you're gonna criminalize speech and all you're doing is talking about ideas? Hell, who gets to make that call? That's fascism. 90 years ago, 1934 in Nazi Germany, that's what they did. And by the way, you know what Nazi stands for? It's a German acronym. It stands for National Socialist Workers' Party. Now, do we have a National Socialist Party here in America right now? We do. And are they talking about getting rid of free speech? They are. And then what about the Second Amendment? Oh, no American should own more than 5 guns of any type, and the only thing you should be permitted to own is a 120-year-old gun. Let's get rid of these assault rifles. Well, an assault rifle is a machine gun. Anybody who's done anything with the military knows that an assault rifle's got that little rock and roll switch on it. When you flip it, you hold the trigger down and you can hose down.
Yeah.
All right, not any AR. AR doesn't stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite. You know when that design was patented? 1952. That is 72 years ago. It's 72 years old. AK-47. The Russians adopted it in 1947. That's 77 years ago. It's an antique. If you watch a John Wayne movie or a Clint Eastwood movie or Western, and they got the Winchesters when they made those movies were newer than ARs were. So what you're supposed to be stuck with? A 6-shot revolver, which they said, okay, that's Smith & Wesson came out with that in 1896. That is 126 years ago. So that's what you, why not just a muzzle-loading flintlock when Sherman marched his ass through here and burnt this motherfucker down?
Word. Why not?
You know, I mean, hey. And then you're talking about the stuff out on the streets. Well, we have a wide open southern border, and the cartels can send crates of firearms through with the kilos of dope. So you're not going to stop the guns out there, but, you know, defund the police, not control them, cut everything out. You're supposed to be helpless. What the devil are you supposed to do to protect yourself? Does anybody want to take his old lady and walk 3 blocks down the street at midnight? You want to go next door to see your neighbor after dark? No. You feel like going to a club? What happened to that? My niece, by the way, it's her birthday. Ricky, she's over there. And her homegirl, who was to come around here too, he's got on the white suit looking like a plantation manager, somebody that owns one. And then what about, we go back to this other topic. She says, just because you have a legal firearm doesn't mean we're not coming in your home to see what you're doing with it. That's 4th Amendment. Warrantless search and seizure. That is straight up unconstitutional. And guess who's gonna be the #1 target? They look like us. They are us. And we sit there, oh, the Baba Yaga is evil. I have to go vote for my freedom of speech getting snatched, my ability to protect myself getting snatched, to be free from somebody kicking in my door when they want to check out what I'm doing when I'm minding my business, okay, and compelling me to run my mouth off like your district attorney did and incriminated herself, 3 or 4 pages of fine print worth. And let's not forget what's going on with Diddy right now. Now, I don't know whether he did what they accused him of doing or not, but in the 50 years I've been doing criminal defense work or being a criminal court judge, and I was that for 16 years worth of term before I did 15 years with the TV thing, I had a bunch of defendants charged with the same thing they've got Diddy with. You know how the indictments read? On or about such and such date, the defendant did cause to be transported across state lines for illicit purposes a number of women, thereby violating code section so-and-so. That's it. And if you wanted to find out more what the government's case was, you had to file all these motions and have all these hearings and arguments. They put in 15 pages of BS for a 3-count indictment. They talked about, what, 2,000 tubes of lubricant and the man jacking off. They put that in 3 counts. What the hell's that got to do with a damn thing? And what they're talking about is sex parties. You got a big mansion, you got this show going on over there, that show going on there. It goes on for a few days, and people come and go, and they get inspired by what they might be seeing over in the corner. And by the way, they searched in California, right? They searched in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, there were 2 homes on the same lot in Florida. They only searched one. So that's Florida and California. Why did they bring the charges in New York? What's that got to do with a damn thing? And then they went after their mayor in New York. I don't really care one way or the other, but I'm looking at the law. That was a 57-page long indictment for 4 counts. And I find it strange that they have pictures in there. Not of the crime, but where these places were supposed to be. Look at this luxurious place she was in. There was wrong. Okay, yeah. But what are they doing? Again, you would be lucky to get a fifth of that information if you were trying to defend somebody, but here they have a press conference for a half hour telling you what they're trying to do, and they have 57 pages worth of stuff that is actually inadmissible at trial for the most part. They're just trying to inflame you. Now, are you going to get inflamed, or are you going to talk to your black caucus representatives, several of which you've got in this local area, and say, we want some justice. We want something besides just ourselves, and we're sick and tired of somebody trying to lure us down like we're some kind of damn duck with some fake Negroes to lure us in so we can be trapped. We don't want any more damn decoys. We want black people in charge. We want black people getting the game. We don't want show. We want somebody to answer the questions. We don't give a damn what you feel like. We want to know what you're going to do. So when are we going to get that? And when are we going to start insisting that we get that? And when are we going to get over this idea that just because they look like us, they're supposed to help us? And by the way, aside from her being a fake, even if she was real, what is her connection to America? Her parents weren't trying to be immigrants. They were just here temporarily on student visas and work visas. They were passing through. She grew up in Canada. She doesn't have the instincts of what we have here. She can't even talk about it right. Oh, we're going to have to do something about the fact that we didn't get our 20 acres and a mule. Whoa. Every damn somebody in America, including the white folks, knows it was 40 acres and a damn mule.
Right.
And she's talking about 20. So we need to do something about making this real. You want our votes? What the hell are you going to do for them? We don't want any nebulous promises. We want some specific goals. Lay them out and stop talking this word salad. You were delegated the authority to deal with European diplomacy for the United States. You failed. You were delegated the authority to be the border czar. You failed. There was $42 billion to put in internet services for the rural communities. You failed at that. So what have you done that is a success in your whole career except screwed your way to the top? And at the top, there ain't anybody else left to screw. What you gonna do? Walk in with Putin and say, hey baby, I'm gonna give you something. Oh, you're a 60-year-old woman. You old stuff. You got that turkey neck. I don't want you. Come on out here, dear. This is what I got waiting in the back room.
Okay.
And Xi Jinping's gonna say, and Rocket Man in North Korea and one of those Arabs in the Middle East, ain't gonna happen.
Oh, they let that
But you see,
cook,
bottom line is hold people accountable. Forget what it looks like, because it may be a decoy, and get what you are entitled to and you demand. All right?
All right, Judge. Respect.